of Jesus. He has given us life, and life so abundantly.
Yes, a very good evening and welcome to part 2, June edition, Reparations Now. We're continuing from 2 weeks ago. This evening, well, once again, we got another very interesting program. We're going to be doing Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. So, you know, young people, if you want to know how to talk like a big man, listen to Martin Luther King. Then we're going to have our, as usual, Sister Crystal Crawford, our young poet laureate. And then we're going to show you some beautiful cities in Africa. You know, they tell we say that we come out from a place that got shared tree and we used to live in tree and that kind of story. Now, well, it's going to stun you what you're going to see. Then we're going to have a little discussion on the lies that they told to us. And then we're going to end off with I'm Not Afraid. This program comes to you auspices of the Ministry of Culture, and it is important that the state having banned us from being ourselves on the 2nd of April 1810, that the state is participating in our repair. This evening we've got in our studio Brother Eric, the Deputy Chair of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, and chairman of the Guyana Reparations Commission. He is training all of us to be patient and tolerant with one another and them kind of thing. Sister Esther, who we just fall out with and falling back with. Yeah, Sister Esther, you know we just fall out and falling back with you. Brother Royston, the Essequibo rep, and our young poet laureate. Good evening. Without much further ado, we go into this ageless speech, I Have a Dream.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when we allow freedom ring, children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yes, Brother Eric, excuse me, Martin Luther King makes me say, you know, when I see that kind of performance, I say, again, I'm glad to be black. I don't wish to be nothing else. It shows that we're a different people. You know, the Europeans tell us that when you're talking, you must move your hands and that kind of story. Well, what we saw is a man in motion and moving that massive crowd. And that is what they tell us is emotion. And so we mustn't speak with emotion. But the man is in motion, and that's who we are. We are an emotional people. We are in, and we talk with motion, etc. But then let us go into the discussion on what we are going to be looking at, especially within the context of Mr. Martin, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's speech. What are the dreams? What is your understanding of the dreams of African people? And so I'm not going to press Sister Crystal. I'm going to start with Brother Eric. What do you think are the dreams of African people in the context of where we are, where we came from, and where we ought to be going?
Thanks, Brother Jonathan. First, my first dream is that every Guyanese, regardless of color, race, or creed, should hear that speech and memorize it.
Okay.
It's the greatest speech ever given by a human being. And as you said, it's a black man. But what he's basically saying is that he wants us, in Guyanese terms, to live our motto: one people, one nation, one destiny. And for us as Africans in Ghana, our dream is for that. But in order for that to happen, we have to have reparatory justice. This has to be, in order to live that dream he's speaking about, this has to be a just society. The society has always been unjust to Africans from 1621 to now. And so 473,000 Africans shed their blood for Guyana. At emancipation, we fought wars for emancipation so that everybody else could come here free. Yet Guyanese are unwilling to give us our justice. We cleared 15,000 square miles. You know, that's 18% of Guyana. 9 million acres.
When you say we cleared,
With our hands, with a whip, under the most cruel of conditions.
we took it back from the sea and that kind of thing.
15,000 square miles.
Yes.
That's without any equipment. We built the seawalls. We built 2,136 miles of sea defense.
So then it's not true that we ain't do nothing.
Right.
All right.
So I want that for all Guyanese to understand that there should be justice for that. When the Dutch were here, there were 50,000 Amerindians. And some were enslaved, but when enslaved Africans were brought here, we're the ones who died and suffered. And those 50,000 Amerindians, they had their culture protected. And there was no racism against them. And yet they have gotten reparatory justice of about 18-19% of Guyana through the Amerindian Act of 2006. So for Guyana to be just, for us to live what Martin Luther King is saying, for us to live our motto, Africans should be given reparatory justice, the 15,000 square miles. And then this soil will heal. And all the bad things that are happening to this nation, the racism that is so endemic, the ripoff we're getting from Exxon and all the oil companies. If we're not a just people, if we're not true to ourselves, to every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the way we are being treated is the way Africans are being treated, is the way those companies are treating us. So we need to understand holistically that what Martin Luther King was saying, we're all in this together. Let us treat each other equally. Let us end this racism. And if we do that, we will achieve El Dorado, which is why everybody came here to begin with.
And in the words of the song, the world is a cycle. What goes around comes around.
So that's what Africans dream. We want equality. We want equal access. We want equal access to lands. We want equal access to financing. We want equal access to contracts. We want equal access to jobs. All of that. And that's not happening. So apart from us dying for Guyana, we've never been repaired. Others have been repaired. If you look at the wealthy people in Guyana, take Alfonso, state assets that we died for, he got, and he's wealthy. You look at BPAT, you look at DTL, you look at Biharis. How did they get wealthy? State assets that we died for.
You know, Tyrone Ferguson.
If you look at the oil blocks, there were 6 oil blocks given out to Guyanese. 5 Indians, Duki, and 1 to Ryan Pereira. Yet we're the ones whose bones are in the ocean out there where that oil is. So I want to just end by saying all we need is to be treated justly. And unless we're treated justly, this society will never prosper.
But I just wanted to add that Tyrone Ferguson wrote that even the ERP, as recent as that we benefited nothing from the ERP.
Everybody else benefited but us.
It was the Portuguese and the Indians who benefited. Sister Esther, Wazero Esther, the lady with the gele, I don't know what they call it in Rastafari, in Ethiopian, but in some parts of Africa they call that headdress a gele. That shiny red gele. How do you see it sitting under that headdress as a Rastafari? What does Rasta need? What are the needs of Rastafari?
The needs of Rastafari. Thank you for that question, Brother Jonathan. As usual, it's a pleasure being here. The vision of Rastafari. Well, even as we sit here, we see it unfolding. And as I can repeat the speech of His Majesty that Bob Marley made into a song, until the philosophy that holds one race superior than another. Until. We're familiar with that. Seeing reparations being realized and supported by the government is part of Rastafari vision being realized. Because in 1997, an international Rastafari gathering presented a paper to the Parliament of Guyana, and reparations and repatriation were 2 of the points, among other things that they agitated for. Locks not being cut in school and in prison, and a whole lot of other social discrimination that Rastafari being faced are disappearing. Also, the main vision for Rastafari is setting up our cities, our communities, because one of our main focus is repatriation along with reparation. And in order to repair yourself, we know land is a basis of generational wealth. Rastafari has started to set up their communities here in Guyana, Caribbean, wherever they find themselves. And so that is part of our repair. And like I love to say, I repatriate. You have to repatriate spiritually, mentally, socially, economically before you could repatriate physically. So I have to go back to Africa in my mind, in myself, right here in Guyana before I actually put my feet on the continent, because many have migrated, but they had to remigrate. So repatriation is far different from that. It's a resettlement.
Because the values that we had on the African continent are different to the values that we have been forced to inculcate here.
Yes, right here in Guyana, we have begun to set up our communities. We have various denominations of Rastafari, the House and Iabingi, 12 Tribes of Israel, Pope Ashanti, several other Rastafari denominations we know, but we all focus on His Majesty and Ethiopia. And a lot of times when I say Ethiopia, people tend to think it's just a very small part, but when we say Ethiopia, we actually mean the whole of the continent, because as you know, Africa just came about 500 years now. So when I say Ethiopia, some people think it's just a small part, but it's the entire continent we're looking at. And so we have started to repatriate and repair right here in Guyana ourselves. And we would love, because we didn't pay to come here, we didn't ask to come here. So we were captured and brought here. So as part of our reparations, there has to be, just because we were brought here freely, we have to be able to return. We were brought here by the thousands.
They got to carry me back.
Yes, they got to carry me back.
Talk it to Crazy,
yes,
they got to carry me back.
They got to carry back. They got to carry me back. Yes, so just because we were brought here, we have to be facilitated to return. I know a lot of us wouldn't want to go and stay, but there are some that want to go and resettle. And as I love to say, I repatriated out to Georgetown, into Linden, into a Rastafari community. And just as I have done here, setting up everything, I need to go to the continent and do the same thing too. And many of us, and everywhere you find Rastafari, in the Caribbean, around the world, we are setting up our communities. And the governments have to help to facilitate us, because they participated in enslavement and they benefited from enslavement. And many governments continue to practice discrimination against Africans. Against Africans. And then I would love to say I love to tell people, we are the discriminated of the discriminated.
So it's a double incidence of discrimination.
Yes.
Because you're discriminated against because you're black, and then you're discriminated because you're Rasta.
Yeah,
but like how you're talking the Crailies, you're talking the Queen's English all the time. They got to carry me back.
They got to carry back.
All right. Yes, Brother Royston, your views on what are the needs of African people, and then we go straight from Brother Royston, we go to Sister Crystal Crawford. She does her poem, and she gives her views on what maybe youth needs.
You know, I like to write on the rhythm that Waziro just presented us. We were captured, and we were kidnapped, captured and kidnapped, brought these years. And so for me, I think what I sense the general African community asking for is a sense of self, an understanding of who we are, who is this person. And so identity is a very, very vital thing.
No, but when you look at us, you see dark face, you see woolly hair and beard and that kind of stuff. You say, what more identity you could be talking about?
Right. And so let's look at us here in Guyana. So you say Guyana is a land of 6 people, and you say we're all Guyanese. And as was mentioned just a little earlier, we have the Amerindians, for instance, who have at least 90% of Guyana's land. We who came, developed Guyana, made it livable, are now asking for 18%. As a matter of fact, we took plantations, created livelihood centers. A lot of it the state took away from us and made it to villages. So lands and plantations we bought with cash that we didn't even earn from the labor, but the thing we did after regular work. We took those monies, bought plantations, had them developed, formed livelihood centers, and the state took those lands, subdivided them, and called them villages. And so there's a disparity there. So there's an uneven hand. And then you look across the spectrum, and you have the East Indians, the Portuguese, the rest of them. They are not benefiting the same way that we are benefiting. We are sometimes discarded, not observed, not seen, not recognized. We don't exist in some instances in the minds of some of these groups. So I'm saying we have to, in a sense, establish from whence we came, recognize our inner being or inner purpose. And when I say that, we may have beards and so on, but what's my purpose here? I mean, who am I? My name now might be Royston, but really that was given to me by my slave master. That's not my name really. So I gotta find myself. I gotta find my name.
Your enslaver?
My enslaver gave me that name.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
My purpose. I'm here. I'm doing several things. but there's an innate thing in me that's driving me forward. I need to find that, orient myself to that, drive forward, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm saying. I need to know what is my purpose, my relationship with the ant, with the snake, with the mosquito, with the larva, with the cockroach. We have a place. We exist in this space together. And of course, my fellow human beings, the trees, the plants, the waters. Let's not forget, we have communities now underwater because of what we as a people did in places in this country, whether it's forestry or mining or whatever it is. We have affected the environment, and so, as you mentioned earlier, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We have to understand these things. We're not existing in a space by ourselves like cocoons. We have a relationship with all other organisms that exist. And so as a black man, I need to have my identity and have it established and recognized.
I think you made a very powerful point. And I put it this way, if you scorn us today, you will be scorned tomorrow.
Certainly.
So if you don't want to be scorned tomorrow,
Don't scorn.
then don't scorn. Sister,
But I'm not. Oh.
we got another discussion later and you can come in. Sister, Poet Laureate, Youth, Crystal Crawford.
Thank you. Black Lives Matter. Does my blackness scare you? Or is it my strength that intimidates? Is it my resilient mind or my robust facade? Are you astonished by my meekness or my loud thumping soul? Is it my curls that confuses you or my pressed edges? Tell me, because Black Lives Matter. Is it a drive that motivates me, pushes me to succeed against all odds? Is it my round hips, thick thighs, or plump lips that angers you? Is it my walk or my talk, my elegance, my finesse? Because I know you see it and try to imitate. Is it my blackness or my brown skin, white teeth? Is it my persistent cry for justice or my call for peace? Tell me, because Black Lives Matter. Is it my intelligence or the lack of it? Because Black Lives Matter. You aren't satisfied with invading the motherland. You aren't satisfied so much so you continue to suffocate my blackness. I can't breathe, yet you wouldn't let up. Knee to neck like iron to flesh, lynching of the less let me guess. Another black man panting for breath. How could we forget? I'm not beautiful for a black girl. I am beautiful because I am black. Black beauty. Black is beautiful. Black lives matter.
Yes, Black Lives Matter. So tell me what you think the youths them want within the context of the poem.
You know, your question is a very loaded one. And sitting here as, as a youth, and there are so many things that we want. And
yes.
The first thing I would say is it's a voice to be heard.
Yes.
Another is an opportunity. Every day when I go on Facebook, I will see, youth saying, oh, I was awarded this scholarship or I was accepted into this university, but my parents can't, afford to send me. And I need a donation, I need the government to assist me. And then it saddens me because every day there's so many black youths there that are educated, they're talented, but they're not given the space, they're not given the opportunity to develop that. There are so many athletes that, can run, they can jump, they can do so many things, but they don't have the resources. Parents can't afford to send them, to represent Guyana. But if we are given reparatory justice, these talents and these gifts and these people that, deserve an opportunity will get that opportunity. You know why? Because they have now the financial freedom to attend Harvard, to attend all of these colleges. Look at the University of Guyana. There are so many law students that have to be fighting for the top 25 in order to leave Guyana, to go to Trinidad, to be, to attend. Why don't we have our own college, our own law school here? Why do we have to, go to someone else's country to, become a lawyer? So there are so many things that youths want. but they're not given an opportunity. Why? Because I'm Guyanese, a proud Guyanese. I have to, ask for a scholarship or go on Facebook and say, oh, I'm this and I'm that. We should be offered these things. We should be given a voice. We should be given an opportunity.
But Black Lives Matter because black is beautiful. Man, I could kiss myself. So black, so beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
I think we got to learn to love ourselves and kiss we own self.
Yeah.
But they tell we said that we come from monkey and we used to swing in tree and all that kind of story. Well, if you look at the African continent now, you're going to realize that, oh my gosh, they lie.
Yeah.
They lie. So, beautiful cities of Africa.
Hi. As with most of the world, the heart of Africa is found in its cities, and yet tourists in Africa seem to largely prefer seeking out the continent's wildlife rather than its cultural city centers. According to the World Bank, 40% of the African population south of the Sahara live in cities. Here are our top picks for the most beautiful cities in Africa. Luanda, the capital of Angola, is a Windhoek. Windhoek is the capital of Namibia, in the country's central highlands. Windhoek is a bustling metropolis that is unexpectedly neat and orderly, though this is perhaps less surprising when one considers it was a German territory for many years. This is the main port of call for most tourists, and all travelers pass through the city at least once. Situated in a pretty valley, Windhoek boasts buildings very much in the German architectural style. The German presence can be strongly felt in the food, restaurants, and of course, the beer. The Namibian beer is said to be the best in Africa and is brewed in Windhoek. Dar es Salaam. Despite its name, which means abode of peace in Arabic, Dar es Salaam is Tanzania's largest and busiest city. It is the country's most important business and commercial hub as it is situated right on the Indian Ocean. Dar es Salaam is the main port of call for most visitors, as it is an ideal location from which to access both the wilderness areas and the beaches of Tanzania and Zanzibar. Over the last century, Dar es Salaam has grown from a sleepy Zaramo fishing village into a thriving tropical metropolis of over 6 million people, straddling some of the most important sea routes in the world. Cape Town. Cape Town, South Africa's second largest city, ranks among the most beautiful in the world. It is a vibrant and colorful city with stunning beaches, beautiful mountains, and some of the best vineyards in Africa. Taking the cable car ride to the top of Table Mountain at sunrise or sunset to take in the beautiful views is a must. With all the sophistication and activities that can be found in the city, this seaside playground certainly has enough to offer to everyone. Cape Town is a blend of distinct cultures and people groups, making it one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Thanks to its beauty, it also attracts a lot of foreign expats and immigrants as well, making it even more diverse. Nairobi. Kenya's capital city, Nairobi is one of the largest and most influential cities in Africa, an important commercial and financial regional hub. The only city in the world with a national park on its doorstep, Nairobi is the hub of East Africa and is packed with unique attractions, from bustling markets to fascinating historical sites such as the Karen Blixen Museum. The city is also known for its leafy streets and parks. A modern city with towering skyscrapers and imposing architecture, Nairobi also boasts a beautiful skyline. Plus, cultural and historical sites makes Nairobi different and unique, and on the continent, it is among the cities with the best infrastructure. Kigali. Kigali is regarded as one of Africa's cleanest cities. It is Rwanda's capital city and the country's central business center, with a number of modern architecture such as the new Kigali International Convention Center, and it also hosts the Kigali Genocide Memorial Site, moderate weather, hospitable citizens, hotels, restaurants, among other things. The interesting thing about Kigali is its location. It is well situated near most tourist attractions, including volcanoes and a national park, which is only a 2-hour drive from Kigali to the park. This means that a tourist can travel to the park to track mountain gorillas and come back to Kigali the same day. Abidjan is a city on the southern Atlantic coast of Ivory Coast in West Africa. It's the country's major urban center, with skyscrapers rising above the Ebri Lagoon. The French influence is clear to see here, not least in the food, which is served in some bistros with the kind of pomp you might expect in downtown Paris. Dubbed the Manhattan of Africa, the gleaming skyscrapers and manicured gardens of the plateau give downtown Abidjan a decidedly modern feel. This commercial district is also home to St. Paul Cathedral, which boasts impressive stained glass windows and great views across the city. Lagos, Nigeria's largest city, sprawls inland from the Gulf of Guinea across Lagos Lagoon. Victoria Island, the financial center of the metropolis, is known for its beach resorts, boutiques, and nightlife. The economic and cultural powerhouse of the country, thanks to an influx of oil money, Lagos has an exploding arts and music scene which will keep your yansh engaged far past dawn. If you're headed to Nigeria, you'll have no choice but to jump right in.
So you see, they lie.
We should go back to Africa.
Yes,
We need a trip.
Here, reservation clock, I changed my reservation. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Lagos.
Africa, yes.
All right, they lied to we. History lied to us. Yes, history.
Gombela. Our screams were collected into bottles of schnapps to bellyful our chiefs into psychological distortion. There in their drunken stupor, stories were told that even the toothless child knew that the light of civilization dawned from Africa. At a time, the world was drenched in darkness, until the old pages of history faded our stories into oceans of deceptive and perceptive nature, where our achievements were characterized as worthless. And that we never at any slide in history contribute to the human race. The voices of our people got lost amongst the tumult of voices echoed from the whip of slave masters. Our beautiful women with dangling rhythms of their backsides at the slightest movements of their bodies got the white man attracted, and so their pride was arrested, bundled and shipped away into unknown lands of thirst, then saw the birth of mulattoes.
I remember the past. They used to put us in chains and sell us around the world. Yeah, but now we welcome them with open arms. 'Cause that's the heart of a Negro, Negro. Ooh, I am an African.
From east to west, from north to south, a breeze gathered to wake a country from the slumber of colonialism into a realm of freedom. Then our yarn cried further to wake a new nation, Ghana. Surprisingly, the crow of Ndewura Jakwe's cock never sounded as usual in our ears, but rather a heavy storm from the voice of Nkrumah saying, "Ghana, your beloved country is free forever." Multitudes danced, sang and whined away their worries into sleep when Dr. Ephraim Amo brought out his attempted band to blow songful melodies to greet the arrival of a new nation, Ghana. This inspired Philip Beho to sing from the depth of his heart a song with God tears rolling down the cheek onto our land to nurture our agriculture, to become our backbone when Tete Kwashi came out to show to the new nation a seed of life hidden in cocoa. What men can do, women can do better. And there came Miss Theodosia Oko with her flag covered in red, gold, green, with the black stars rising into the sky to flutter serenely from lamppost to the glory of Philip Beho's God bless our homeland, Ghana. On that day of freedom, fabrics of Ghanaian societies intertwined to form loops of a united people submerged in kente and smoke together, devoid of tribalism. We bade the white men and women farewell as they took bag and baggage, kith and kin, from a land of gold and roots to their world of splendor, built from our sweat. But throughout all these years, we may want to search into areas that soiled our white garments, to purge our nation of all stains, to rebuild its focus towards economic liberation. Our systems may have some challenges, but our passion and determination will clear the path to our destiny for salvation. Let's not give up on the Ghanaian dream. Let's keep pushing the wind of destiny. As the wind of a new era blows against our infant dreams and drags us through the pain of toughness as we rebuild our nation, we must know that our survival will only be assured by the consolidation of our dreams in our past while acting on them today.
Now we are living in the present, where all blacks want to be white. So they forsake their culture, and put on another one. you forgotten the suffering of your forefathers? I am an African.
Songs of our infant voices, as shrill and thin as they may sound, must not be used in throwing tantrums for sorrow to give in to despair. Our grim perception must not halt our quest to unlocking our national potentials to overflow joyousness into the very recesses of our near resignation towards a better tomorrow. It is okay to be different. Even nature agrees we all can't be equal, perfect. The differences nature created are for a joint effort towards progress. Therefore, if our nation must see the face of prosperity, our differences must in equal measure see convergence. Peace.
So who do you say you are? Oh, yeah. 'Cause I know who I say I am. Who do you say you are? Oh, yeah. 'Cause I know who I say I am. I am a Negro, ooh, I am an African. I am a Negro, ooh, I am an African. I'm an African. I'm an African.
Well, you see, Royston, that's the answer to your question, the question that you asked.
Yeah.
We are Africans. Sister Crystal, you said something when you've been watching it. You asked when we going?
Yes, I'd like to know when are we going? When are we going to plan a trip? I would like to go to stand at the gate of no return. I said, I got you, I returned. Bigger and better.
You're going to Ghana. Well, here what we just decided between we and Brother Eric, we decided that we're going next year.
Yes.
After COVID, and we plan it, and you can call this number 684-5794. I'm going to repeat that number, 684-5794. The Guyana Reparations Committee has begun to plan for us to go back to our motherland so that we can visit there. We got 6 minutes, 5 minutes to discuss, and then we wrap up. The pyramids, King Tut, they lie to we, they lie. Columbus lie.
Yes.
You know? So each person take a minute and a half.
I'll go first.
Yes.
Because I lived 7.5 years in South Africa, and I visited 40 African countries.
Wow.
And that's why I'm so comfortable with myself. I know who I am. I'm afraid of no one. Africa is the greatest place on earth.
You are an African.
The people are so loving.
Yeah.
The Europeans have come there and split us up in 10 different ways. Look at those cities. They've lied to us. Look at the technology coming out of South Africa, coming out of Nigeria. Look at Egypt, which is part of Africa. Look at Ethiopia. Look at Cote d'Ivoire, French Africa. So we need to visit Africa, and I'm glad we made a decision that sometime next year we'll go to Ghana and one other country.
I just want to stick this one in. When Wazero Esther was making her presentation about Ethiopia, do you know that Ethiopia stretched all the way to Guyana because what they call in the Atlantic Ocean today was the Ethiopian Ocean?
Yes, it was.
So they lie. Oh my Lord, they lie.
Yes.
Yes.
They lie. Yes. Well, we know Ethiopia is the cradle of civilization, of Africa, so to speak, is the cradle of civilization. We look at, for instance, the Lalibela rock churches.
Yes.
So we know they lie. So, and Africa is so diverse. I know they want to say, well, we were solely locked into living in huts, but we lived in all sorts of, whatever we wanted to create, we created. And there is no, even the Buckingham Palace and the White House, you name all the most famous buildings, all of those famous architecture was designed by Africans. Washington, Brother Eric, you can help in calling lots of the places in New York, America of itself, that Africans built. So there's no civilization that Africans did not participate in the architecture, in the construction, and civilizing it.
But I'm going to give you one here, sir, for Guyana. Go and stand up and watch the parliament buildings. And when you're watching at the parliament buildings, you know who built parliament buildings? Black people.
Yes.
Africans, enslaved Africans build the parliament buildings. You must go and touch it and touch your grandparents, them hand that they put on them stones with. Brother Royston.
You know,
you cut down to a minute.
Truth and fairness is an essential component of what we need to have if we're to trot forward. Because as has been established, our history, the history in schools and all over, has been a farce. A whole bundle of lies. Even today, in schools, our children are still learning that they came from slaves. You know, I mean, we're a slave world. We're a slave country.
That they're slaves.
That they're slaves.
Yeah.
Right, and that people were brought here as slaves.
As slaves.
I don't understand it. We were enslaved, we were captured, kidnapped, and brought here enslaved. Not as slaves. I mean, we have mothers and fathers.
So where does slave word come from? Brother, where did slave thing come from?
It's a Scandinavian word. And it was associated with white people.
Exactly.
Who were enslaved. But our enslavement was different because we were taught to be property, whereas others treated their slaves as servants.
So therefore it's a projection. What they ain't like but the self, they put pon we.
Yeah.
All right. Brother Royston, I cut you.
I know you cut, but to refute the thought that they brought slaves from Africa, they didn't brought slaves, they brought royalty. They brought the best of Africa.
Engineers.
They brought the rulers and they brought their cabinets. All the skilled craftsmen were who they brought.
That built the parliament buildings.
That built
for
everything,
instance.
all the drainage, irrigation, everything. They brought engineers and architects, scientists. Those are the people they brought.
All right. I mean, this thing's so sweet. Yes, I love me. Sister Crystal.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking and remembering there's a scripture that says, my people suffer for the lack of knowledge.
Yeah, man.
And if we want to repair ourselves, we have to start with our history. And the history that is taught in our schools is wrong. When you open a book, we see slaves and chattel slaves and all of that, but they never tell you that we were kings and queens. I remember in researching my name, my middle name, Nikita Candace. Candace means queen of Ethiopia.
Yes.
And Nikita means unconquered, so I'm the unconquered queen. So that's why we need to trip quickly, okay? But what I would like to leave with us this evening, Africans and their descendants are the forerunners for human civilization, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And that's what we should never forget.
King Tut.
And so, you know, King Tut, the boy king. Take 20 seconds.
I just want to recognize.
Today is Royston's birthday.
Yes,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Royston.
yes,
Thank you.
happy
But
birthday.
I want to extend that to two of my elders in Essequibo. We have a lady in Queenstown, Ursula Daly Corbin. She became 100 this year on the 11th of June.
We're visiting
We're
Essequibo
going there
next week.
on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we have Miss Lucretia Bradford. She is 104 and she lives in Collin on the Essequibo coast. Those are folks who we have to go and embrace and
Recognize and celebrate.
Tell Brother Royston something on behalf of the reparations.
Yes.
And you got 5 seconds, right? Because we want to get them not afraid.
All the member organizations of the Ghana Reparations Committee, we would love to say happy birthday to you. As Rastafari would say, happy Earth Day, happy first day, and may you live to see many, 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 many more.
And from all the black people in Guyana who love themselves, who love ourselves, you know, I am not afraid to love myself. So we go out and I am not afraid. We can see you the last Sunday, 7 p.m. next month. I am not afraid.
And we're in
Fourth
Essequibo.
Sunday. The fourth Sunday?
Fourth Sunday.
The fourth Sunday in
Fourth
July.
Sunday. I'm not afraid.
Reparations now.
I think you got a different thing.
Yitilaba, this is who we are. So proud.
Being African is a feeling of 2 feet beating to a beat with a special ancestral connection. You don't know that you are a god. You're a child of the earth who was birthed from strong kings and queens, melanin dipped Nubian. Your strength is like that of a Kilimanjaro. You've got something Tanzanian. You belong to the misunderstood, the men and the women who stood to dance with their chokwe and their kuba on top of their heads. You carry your sweet potatoes and your yam. You do not do breakfast in bed. Instead, you knead your own bread and you feed it to the entire village from your basket of bread. We are families separated by protocol, man-made borders because you saw the need to civilize us, but we will not fight another man's war. You do not know that when the grasshoppers fight, it is for the beneficiary of the crow. You should know that the most dangerous guns are not machines or rifles. They're hate, greed, ignorance. These are serious silencers. Africa is one big home with different tribes that come together as one family. No African is a foreigner in another African country. Who taught you to hate you? These tribes are all pieces which make up one huge flag. Silence the guns, cease the conflicts, and heal the land. So you can sing songs under an acacia tree and lay on sandy beaches where there are beautiful sceneries. Elope to Zanzibar and eat African candy plucking straight from a tree of amarula. Let the sounds of a marimba cause the women to dance in beautiful dance steps as the men flex their muscles that were built from tilling the land. Drop the AK-47 times and refuse to shoot any human, as we will only shoot for stars with love as a religion. We refuse to let the child who was raised by the village become a soldier. Instead, we hold hands in solidarity and stand against wars, civil conflicts, GBV, or any forms of genocide. We choose love, hope, dreams, creativity, intermarriages, beautiful traditional ceremonies, our heritage. In Kwame Nkrumah's words, Africa is one nation, one continent, and one people. Africa is us, so hold on and silence the guns.